Welcome to Edison TV. I'm here with Harry Anagnostaras-Adams, CEO of EMED Mining. Harry, thank you for joining us. Firstly, could you tell us a bit about what EMED does?
Well, EMED was formed 8 years ago to focus on copper and gold development in Europe specifically, and that's what we do. Since then we've made the largest gold discovery in that period in Europe, in Central Europe, and we've acquired one of the largest mining districts in Europe, the Rio Tinto copper project in the south of Spain.
So what key messages would you want to give to any potential investors?
Well, we have done what we said right from day one. We've taken longer than we anticipated to get cracking in the production, but it is a wonderful opportunity that we've created for ourselves in Europe now. Europe has become pro-mining since we entered into the space. It's now overtly supportive of the mining industry, and it's coming back out of a slumber in Europe. The Rio Tinto copper project is the world's largest so-called VMS system, one of the most common ways to mine base metals in the world, and we own 100% of the world's largest. And it yielded over $15 billion worth of metal historically at today's prices, and we think it'll do the same again in the future. So we do own a very large opportunity in a now pro-mining area. We were an early mover into Europe, which now has become pro-mining. And in respect of the timetable ahead of us, we expect to trigger construction at our first mine in Spain later this year and to be in production a year later.
So what are the key catalysts for that in the near term?
Well, the government in Andalusia, Spain, has announced that it would like the permits that we require to trigger construction to be wrapped up in the next 3 months. They made that announcement a couple of weeks ago. We are on track to do that. Therefore, the key catalysts are the permits to trigger the construction. We've lined up most of the finance. We've got 10-15% piece left, which we're working on, and to actually trigger the construction. So it is quite short term now, given all the work that's been done over the last few years.
Given the debt facilities in place with customers to fund the startup, how would you then go on to fund the expansion?
Well, the expansions are very important. As I mentioned, the scale of the opportunity is world-class, and we expect to be replicating historical production in the longer term. Given that today we started the company as a $6 million company on day one, it's now a $200 million company, and we see that the value of projects, the mines we have on that property, will take us to a $2 billion property over the next 5 years as we bring them back on stream. We've almost completed the financing of the first mine startup. Now, to go to your question, how do we fund the expansions into this other mine, second mine, third mine, and so on? Frankly, that's a problem of success, and we don't have to go at this rate or that rate. Once we're up and running, we can go as fast as is warranted for shareholder returns. So the payback on the incremental effect of the startup is very rapid. So I'm sure our customers will be keen to see the expansion. And just as we financed with customer support the startup, I'd be surprised if we weren't financing with customer support the expansions. But as I say, that'll be a problem of success, and we'll deal with that at the time.
So in terms of timescales, what is the plan for ramp up to production in the second half of this year?
Well, the gatekeeper is the permitting, and from what the government has announced and the work we're doing, we think that over the next few months that'll be in place so that we can trigger production early in the second half. That would mean that basically production triggers 12 months after that moment, and the ramp up to full production takes 18 months from that point. So you've got a cascading timetable. Permit the next few months, 12 months of construction, 18 months of ramp up. During that construction period, we'd be doing a lot of drilling, and if we can finalise expansion plans during that same time, we may just be fortunate enough to bypass the initial rate of production and go to a higher level of production from the outset.
And finally, how have you found working in Europe for the mining industry?
Well, we came to Europe from Australia, as you can hear from my accent, because we felt that it was propitious to reawaken what had once been a prominent industry. The opportunities are plentiful, but it was plagued in bureaucracy, one might say. And I'd have to say that the challenges encountered in dealing with that have been greater than I anticipated. I feel well and truly blooded now. But having said that, we deliberately took on some challenges which existed because they were bogged down. And the Rio Tinto project is a world-class mining district which will yield great wealth for shareholders and the communities. And it would have been operating years ago if it hadn't been bogged down in problems, which we've addressed and cleaned up. So the frustration was the price we paid for the opportunities we were able to seize.
Harry Anagnostaras-Adams of EMED, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
For more information, please visit the Edison website.